My introduction. I'll be doing a video blog regarding the News Corporation company. I'll be talking about the company's ownership, company structure, merger and takeovers, and the effect on the company's success, cross-media products, production and distribution of products, linking these to market trends. The section I'll be talking about first is ownership. So News Corporation has different shares among the company itself. So News Corporation will have different owners upon the foundation itself, but the founder of the company is Rupert Murdoch. The family owned 29% of the company in 2005, but a year later the family made the company transferred a 38.5% managing interest into another company which they owned to John Malone, which made their shares in the company go to the rest of the News Corporation, which meant they had more control over the company itself, over the shares. Their investments from 2005, which I found out, there are 5, branching from London to all the way to Australia. One example I have for you is in Hong Kong. News Corporation has investments with Phoenix Satellite, shares of 871 million. This shows that the company News Corporation has dealings from other countries, which shows they'll have they'll be out there upon the market. Many countries will know of the News Corporation. Company structure. Within News Corporation, they have a certain structure to who they involve with. So, for example, the company would have to have a corporate information, people that would talk about the corporate information upon the company. Their involvement in television, so they would have workers that would mainly have interest within that section. Cable networking program, direct broadcast satellite television. In the last section, which I was talking about on the company ownership, I gave the example of Hong Kong. Hong Kong had, the News Corporation had shares within the Phoenix Satellite company. This links with the company structure. The publishing upon the News Corporation and the filmed entertainment section. So News Corporation will have different dealings in their involvement upon different sections. Merger and takeovers. A takeover is the power over a corporation by its targets, stock purchases, and exchange. A merger is a combination of more than 2 things, which has its own legal right. The law recognises it as the corporation's entitlement with their own statutory rights. So the importance of a company having targets, stock purchases and exchange is very, very necessary. If they don't have their targets for what they would like to achieve, then there will be no pathway in where they would like to end. Stock purchases also are important because they would have to keep on track. Everything had to be up to date and they would have to analyse it. I think it would vary upon the years, upon the dates, and depending on time of year, and due to who is involved upon the stock purchases. Also with the exchanges, it's the same with the stock purchases. I think they all kind of mould in together as a takeover. So for example, I was researching the Australian Stock Exchange on the News Corporation website, and I was looking at the shares for the news corporations on the Pacific date is the 21st of May 2013. So the table was stating the last stock exchange, the percentage of the change upon it, the high, the low and the volume. For example, they had the different figures, and upon different dates there are different figures. I think it would change upon the dates due to different reasons, and for News Corporation to have a good success and a good view from other companies, they would have to keep up to date to it. They would have to analyse it, view it, and think what should they change when looking at the results. I think that the effect on the company's success is making sure they do have full control over the target purchases and the exchange. I think they would have a regular update upon their stock exchange, upon the different countries. Cross-media products. Cross-media products means how they are produced. So, for example, say if a newspaper was made by, had an article within it, and the way that the newspaper would be produced is one, they'll be printed, and then second of all, it would be released online, so they can gain more of a target audience. People that are more socially aware of social networks could go online and access it easier, as well as it helps with the economy and be eco-friendly. That's the positive of being able to have a different way to release different advertisements on different products. The News Corporation company, for example, their filmed entertainment way that they could advertise their stuff is by web banners. So on a website they would advertise that they've got a new film being released, or a new trailer, or a new advert. They'll produce the smallest information, and that will gain them people that are interested in what they're going to be produced. The advantage of having different ways to produce it and advertise it is, like I said, to gain more people to be interested, because people have different ways and different preferences on how they would like to be interested in what is going to be shown. Cross media is to do with advertisement, entertainment, and how they are produced, and I do think that News Corporation has got many sections on which they would have to focus on cross media. But filmed entertainment, I found, is what would have to have a lot of advertising and how it's been produced. They could either produce their filmed entertainment through the cinema, they could produce it onto websites such as YouTube, they could also produce it on various different websites. There are different ways of being able to produce footage and filmed entertainment. Production and distribution of products linking to market trends. This is the last section I'll be talking about. So for example, the production and the distribution of the products is important. So for the production is how it's made, what is the content of what is going to be produced. So for example, for the News Corporation, their publishing section is my example. So I'm choosing newspapers, which does link to the cross media products section I talked about last. It's important for the production of building the newspaper itself. So for their publishing, the News Corporation has different sections to what is involved in the publishing. So they would have companies for books, companies for advertisement, for newspapers, etc. But the importance is the distribution of the product. So and that does link with trends. So for example, if the News Corporation had a magazine company and the magazine company only was printed, so for example, people of a younger era maybe wouldn't think of the idea to go to the shop and buy a magazine. Maybe they prefer to have the access, if they have access to the internet, to go onto the internet, go onto the magazine company's website and access it on an online blog, and to be able to read it in front of them and take it anywhere and put it onto their iPod, any technical source, so they can have it on the go, going on the train, transport. It adjusts around their life and their social life, as well as with newspapers. Newspapers would have, or a magazine, they would have a distribution of a printed version, so they have a load of prints going to different stores, and then they would have the online version, so then people can have a different preference on which one they would choose. I do find that as the trends are going now, we're coming to an era that technology is taking over, and people like the idea of having the trend of being up to date with technology, being able to not have to go down to the shop and have to have the texture of paper. They like to have everything onto one item. So, for example, iPhones and etc., they have the capability to buy newspapers and to have everything in one source rather than everything everywhere. It's to do is to have an organisation. If the News Corporation company doesn't stick to that particular trend, then other competitors would have an advantage over them, because they would have the acknowledgement of keeping up to social trends. I find that if they are aware of social trends, then they'll be able to keep and maintain their target audience and people to be interested on the newspaper itself. That is why the production and the distribution of the products is important. But I do think that the distribution of the products is more important, because if the production of a magazine was perfect, the magazine was right for the target audience, but the distribution wasn't done in a particular way, then it doesn't matter what is the content within it, is whether or not people are going to the source and reading it itself. Thank you for watching.